Willkommen, bienvenue. Welcome once again to another live stream. I'm very pleased to have in the studio Chris Gilsenan of Root Home, a man who has seen all the to's and fro's within the property market as it flounders through various administrations. And there are a couple of topics we're going to cover. We're going to cover initially a more benign topic, and then we're going to get onto a little bit of freestyle ranting, I think. Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to out you too early. Let's talk about Teams. What do you mean by that? I'm sure you're not talking about the alternative to Zoom.
I'm not there. I'm not there. So yeah, as when I started as an investor, I thought, well, I'll try and do everything because I didn't have any money to employ anyone, or it's just a natural inclination. That I guess
Chris, we all start out by doing everything when we start off.
Try and bootstrap it. Isn't it called bootstrapping?
I think it is called bootstrapping. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the big issues for me is there's loads of stuff that I'm no good at or don't want to do, but you kind of plow on and try and do those elements to your detriment, but you're trying to build a business at the same time. And knowing when to release the reins or when you're actually in a position to say, "Oh, come on, let's try and bring in the right people." That's been a real big challenge for both me and my business partner as we've been starting to scale what we're doing.
Actually, I have an opinion on this, if you don't mind. Many years ago, I encountered Richard Branson, as one does, one of these entrepreneur type places, and I asked him cheekily, what made you so different that you rose to the top? And he says, I am no different. I've got slightly longer hair, but that's about it. The only thing that I did was I found out very quickly what people were better at doing than I was, and I wholeheartedly got them to do it so I could focus on the bits that I was really good at.
Yeah. It's solid advice. It's finding that tipping point for a lot of people, and knowing. My dad ran a business for many decades, and his biggest challenge was releasing the reins, knowing that
letting it go. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it often became the case that when he stepped out of the business, lots of the elements of the business stopped. And that was a massive failing for him, and something I'm definitely taking on board and don't want to repeat. That'd be quite foolish to repeat his mistakes.
Well, you try to avoid single points of failure, don't you? You try to. My mission for this year, Chris, I shouldn't really tell him because he's the client, but is to make myself as redundant as possible so that I have other people covering, so that I don't have to be the paymaster, the HR, the managing partner, the salesman, the sales manager, the chief techie, etc. That I can release bits. I wrote down. I did a job description for myself 6 months ago, and I came up with 18 areas that I completely run on my own. I've relinquished 7 of them so far. So I've still got a long way to go.
That's very impressive, though, in such a short space of time.
Well, because I realized I was doubling up. Why do I need to do the stuff when Anger and the team were already doing some of that for me anyway? So I made Anger chief technical officer, and I made sure these are your areas of responsibility, and weekly we'll have a 15-minute catch up where you'll tell me where you're doing, and you'll tell me what you need help with, and then I'll see if I can help you make it happen. That immediately freed up a ton.
Yeah, some of the most successful businesses, that's what they've done. They've built good teams around them, people who you can rely on and devolve it to. I'm also guilty of going to the other extreme, having devolved some of that responsibility, and they're like, that's done now, over to you. But then I don't do the follow-up and management and overseeing that they are actually doing the job.
You've got to retain linkage, haven't you? You've got to retain linkage, and there has to be oversight. So that's the thing I've learned also this year. I did relinquish everything for a month, and I realized, hang on a moment, I've got no idea how we're doing in our overall strategy because I've not maintained contact. So that's why I implemented the 15-minute sort of quick meeting just to make sure we're on track. But there's lots more to go. And I'm sure you would say you're guilty. There's lots more for you to go to try and segment what you do out so that you focus just on the areas you can have a brilliant effect on, and other people can be doing the other bits.
Mm-hmm. So for us, we're about to go through another round of explosive growth in what we're doing. And yeah, so there's definitely some trepidation around filling those known unknowns in our business.
Yes. Yes.
Because there are team members that we know that we need, but it's like, okay, well, there's going to be one hell of an uphill challenge trying to recruit these people in these areas, and know that they're good and brilliant and able to deliver what we need them to deliver.
Right.
Again, it almost feels like they could potentially be single points of failure.
Of course.
So yeah, it makes you hot leap with it a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's about, as I said, maintaining oversight, maintaining a dotted line linkage between yourself and them. So although they're running their own little fiefdom, you are still there overall, so they can either come back to you for help, or you can check in with them to make sure that they're on course.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is hand the reins of a portion of your business over to someone else and then divorce yourself from it and go and sun yourself on a beach for 6 months, because you've got no idea what's going out in your name and what direction it's taken.
We actually have a couple of suppliers who we've been working with in the past who've done exactly that, and the service level has just gone through the floor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because and there was no oversight to make sure it was corrected. Whereas, if they just implemented a little touch base every so often, things will go wrong. I think if my golden rule is, if you involve a human in any kind of service or process, at some point something's going to go slightly awry. Not through indolence, not through intent, just because there's either a slight misunderstanding or expectations not being set, or maybe they have had something that's affected them. Yes, I know people like to think that you can keep these emotional stuff at home, but it creeps into everywhere. And there should be the facility that they can have an emotional whatever it is, and someone can temporarily take up the load until they're back to full stream again. In a good business, there is that flexibility. In a bad business, everyone can only do one thing, and if that fails, all the pegs fall out. So teamworking, critical, right?
Teamworking is critical, absolutely critical. And we were talking about this yesterday, how communication is so important, and miscommunication is also challenging. So we're currently doing a big capital raise, as we always need to. And some of the people that we're speaking with at the moment, because we're very different, almost different industries, different backgrounds, and there's terminology clash that's been happening as we're trying to have those conversations around subjects where we're...
Are they trying to pigeonhole you and you don't fit into a pigeonhole? That's the biggest problem, isn't it?
Partly, yeah, but it's just understanding what the other person's saying and then actually taking the time to reflect and get that, so the team can cohesively collaborate together. So that's also a challenge in itself.
All right, well, marvelous. All right, got that out your system. Let's time for the rant. I want to talk about Dogma. Now, Chris read an article recently of I won't go into detail, but it's a challenger to the marketplace of provision of mortgages. And the way they're going to do it is so intelligent and so intensely, obviously caring for the person who's taking on the mortgage in the first place, actually shows some logical care rather than just being, dare I say it, money grabbing. That it made you irate that no one else had bloody taken that up before, frankly.
To be honest, it pissed me off, yeah. And not in the sense that what this company is doing. So there's a Dutch company, a Dutch subsid, that they're trading over here, or will be trading over here, as April Mortgages. I encourage everyone to check them out because they're very interesting, and they will be disrupting the market. And their big pitch is, well, we've been doing this in Holland for ages, and their view is that as the mortgage balance decreases, or as the equity in the property increases over time, they'll reduce the rate, because their view is the risk profile is reduced. But there's no need to remortgage; they'll just do it automatically, so you just end up paying less.
What are they called again?
April Mortgages.
April Mortgages. And do you know when they're going to be starting their
They got their FCA license back in October. Their website looks like it's live now. Yeah, it looks like an interesting one. So for
Right.
everyone who's been squeezed so horribly over the last 2-3 years since the Bank of England rates have just shot up so substantially to temper their own money printing activities, and we're all paying the price for it. Yeah, should be having a look at these different disruptors, and
Well, that
the
sounds like you
reason
should be. That sounds like you should be in a bouncy, upbeat mood, Chris. Why
I,
is it? Why is it creating such anger?
the bit that's pissed me off is the dogmatic thinking of the traditional lenders that are in the UK. Firstly, it's a quasi monopoly, and most of the lenders are big banks, so but they have stale thinking, and they're not open to doing things a different way. It's like, well, we've always done it that way. Why would we do it any different? And that's the dogmatic thinking that makes me go. It drives me bananas why they don't think different ways to help the consumer. So yeah, it's very frustrating. They've been making hay while the sun shines, while all the swap rates have been high and the Bank of England rates have been high.
Of course.
Most people, well, I imagine everyone who's come to the end of a fixed term has been horrified about what they've been moved on to. Some people, like myself, they may have been sticking out on a variable rate, but we're now up around about 6%. That's frustrating. And just having received my latest mortgage statement and seeing how much it's gone up in just 12 months makes me think, well, and considering that's money that I already lent, why are they now increasing the rates on money that's already been lent? Really
Yeah,
winds me up.
it sounds like it's profiteering a little bit.
A little bit.
I'm talking with heavy irony, of course, Chris.
Yes, it makes me want to finish my Friday and go to the pub early.
No, but the truth is, if we don't point our finger at it and shine a light on these processes, then people won't realize that when a company comes from abroad with challenging thinking that forces you to think, hang on a moment, have we been being shanghaied all this time? Was there really a better way of doing this completely and utterly visible to us all this time that
Yeah.
anybody could have, any of the other existing agents could have taken up and run with? But instead, we're at this point. Yes,
So
I can
yeah,
see it could
I
be
love it.
very irritating.
Yeah, competition is good, and capitalism does work when it's allowed to work. But monopolies, like the banks and closed industry. I mean, I was saying to you before, we were talking about you're talking about the film The Bank of Dave, and I said to you, try and get a banking license. Look at the challenges that he had. I know other people who've tried to get banking licenses, and it is closed door, sod
It's not
off,
going to happen, is
not
it?
coming in.
No, it's been a closed shop for a long time.
Mm.
It used to be in the 1900s a complete absolute closed shop. Now it's only a closed shop because you're gently edged towards the exit.
Yes, it's the realm of the monopolists. Yes, which is not beneficial to society at large.
Yeah,
It's
but
not. It's
here's
not
the
helpful.
thing. Here's the thing. Um, the idea that, for instance, using the example you gave, that you could reduce the interest rate if you see that equity has increased in the property.
Hmm.
Now that sounds like it's actually making it more pleasant to be a mortgage holder because it feels like you're being cared for
Yes, yeah, yeah. That's a
as
great
opposed to
great way of
dumped
looking at it.
upon, as opposed to dumped upon.
Yeah,
And it's almost, it makes it less like it's such a privilege to have a mortgage and more like it's a right to fair trading
hmm.
because it's unfair trading otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely right, Gareth. Absolutely right.
How annoying.
So yeah,
Well,
frustrating, but
hang on, Chris. If they succeed
mm,
and they do disrupt,
mm,
I have a golden rule in business. Where there's one, there are many. So
yeah,
who knows? There may be others that come in with similar or even more disruptive ideas, and that may force other lenders to take a view.
it will force their hands. Absolutely, yeah. The last thing they will want is to lose market share. It just won't be tolerated. So yes, I'm all for people who are disrupting dogmatic thinking. across the spectrum, not just in the financial markets.
All right.
We should always be thinking about why we're doing this way.
Well, exactly, and not only that, but what's in it for them and what's in it for me. And it can't, and I don't think it should be enough for you to say what's in it for me is that they allow me to buy a property. It's what should be what's in it for me is they allow me to buy a property with grace, and that's just to say that they take into account me when the market changes and when my property becomes worth more because the market is lifted.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Now look, rant over for a second.
Yeah.
If you forgive me, before we wind this up, I'm going to do a shameless plug, which Chris is involved in. So if you, I'm sure he won't be too upset. So every Thursday at 10 o'clock, and if you follow Chris or you follow me, it will come. It will be at the top of our profiles anyway, so you won't be able to avoid it. We run something called the Property Quorum with a lovely gentleman called Hamish McClay from Search and Convey, and a lady called Juliet Babulal from Gunnar Cook, a property solicitor. And what we do is we talk about topics du jour that affect people within the marketplace, but we also have other minute ramps as well. There's usually some good general advice, but there's also other aspects that you may not even have thought about that come to play. And each week we have a special guest, which often this week we had a gentleman, I forgot his name, gosh,
Dave Simonson.
That was absolutely a specialist in provision of finance. So that really was a few iron openers there as well. And we talk about topics like how difficult it is to do something or how easy it could be or such things. So do come along and follow us there. But until next week, I wish all of you a wonderful weekend, of course, and great mental health. Bye-bye now.